We are now going into lecture 14 on Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, and here we're going to discuss two aspects of the human soul, the irrational and rational, and we're going to further discuss three parts of the soul and the virtue that is found in each part of the soul. The first of the part of the soul that we will discuss in this session is the vegetative part. Oddly enough, there is no virtue to be found there, although there will be virtue to be found with regard to the other two parts of the soul. The first and simplest division in the soul is to recognize that it has two parts, the rational and the irrational. Some of what we do is through and informed by rational thinking, while other things that we do happen independently of rational thinking and may even oppose it. The explanation for that is that the soul, which is the source of all that we do, of all of our animation, is in part rational and in part not rational. In other words, the not rational part can resist what the rational part commands it to do. But we are going to refine our analysis of the soul further and recognize three parts in it, some of which are rational, some not rational, and some, oddly enough, both rational and not rational. And again, the goal of our investigation, in which we divide the soul into parts, is so that we can refine our thinking about human virtue and happiness by asking about the role of virtue in each part of the soul. In other words, we're not just dividing the soul out of idle curiosity or even out of concern for serious knowledge as such, but we are dividing the soul in this way in order to discuss the pursuit of the good life by means of virtue. And so we're going to discuss how virtue belongs to each of the parts of the soul, if it does to any specific part of the soul. The vegetative part of the soul, the first part, is responsible for and is the source of motion of all that in us that happens involuntarily and without any influence of thinking at all. It explains processes, it brings those processes into being, such as digestion, blood circulation, etc. We do not influence the course of these processes by rational or any other choice. They just go on without us knowing about them frequently. For that reason, there is no virtue with regard to this part of the soul and our being at work, since virtue is with regard to those parts of us that takes place through choice and with rational thinking.